And then how about for the category like personal impact? Like what does McKinsey really define as personal impact? What are they looking for a candidate to demonstrate there?
So the types of things that I think are helpful to look for in terms of personal impact is, the interviewer will probe for situations that are similar to what you might encounter working at McKinsey.
Okay.
Like, let's say you encountered a challenging situation where you had to convince someone to take a point of view that was different from where they were starting out, right? How have you done that in the past? How have you been able to navigate the oftentimes organizational politics or kind of strong emotional reactions that people might have in different situations? And I think that's a good way to demonstrate personal impact. It's not just about having great ideas or being really smart. It's can you take that intellectual rigor and make it work in a practical environment.
Gotcha. And so the way you'll tease that out is asking questions like that, or kind of going through a candidate's resume and saying, like, tell me about X or Y, or do you just have very specific questions that you'll say, look, like, forget the resume, we'll just ask you this question and you tell us what you think is, the best demonstration of this in your past?
Oftentimes I'll use the resume as sort of a guide to the extent the candidate is struggling or to give them a starting point.
Gotcha.
But the question will often be a little more open-ended than that. So, tell me about a time when you feel that you demonstrated, exceptional leadership, or where you faced a significant challenge and you overcame it. Something like that. And the goal is to see the candidate in their best frame. You're not looking to trip people up, so you tend not to be asked about failures and things like that. It's more examples of success.
Show us your best example of like X or Y.
Exactly. Yeah. How did you do it? And sometimes one thing that's interesting is some candidates will tell stories about times when they solved a really complicated, like, analytical problem, which tend not to be good stories for these interviews. Because
tell me more about that.
Yeah, it's very individualistic, right? So I've had people come in and be like, well, this one time I built this really amazing model, and like it was 25 tabs and it got to like really tight forecasts and all the numbers proved to be true. And you ask how they had impact with that model, and they're like, well, I made it and I gave it to my boss and my boss liked it, and so they used it. And that's not a good example, because the real context in which you're going to work as a consultant is much more complicated than that and more dynamic. So you might be great at building models, but your model will have no impact if you can't navigate all of the organizational dynamics.
Right.